Right, I'm having some technical issues, so I can only record my voice. If when I go to record a video, the audio messes up, but can record audio on its own for some reason. It's been a bad day. So, for visuals, I'm going to put uh, part of my latest forest investigation running in the background. If you want to see the investigation itself, it's over on my main channel, and I'll leave a link at the end of the video. Um, Basically, I'm going through Drumbo Woods in County Donegal, and I do a spurt box every time I see a seat to sit on. And sit down, do a spurt box, move on to another area, and the main focus of these paranormal investigations is to cover as much ground as possible with the visuals. Look down into the trees and, constantly look behind me, keep looking from side to side, keep looking ahead, cover as much area as possible visually. That's the way I do these kind of investigations. It's a bit different to other investigations where they go to this haunted forest and then they spend most of the time in one little area with some flashy balls and stuff. I can't do that with forest investigations. I have to keep moving and try to get as much visuals in as possible. So if you want to see that whole investigation, it's over on my main channel. I'll leave a link at the end of the video. But today we're going to be talking about Cecil and Bobby Mackeys' music world. So let's get into the video. Well, that was a dumpster fire of a day. This morning I noticed a live stream from Master Shredder, and he said he was looking forward to maybe, myself, an order of magnitude, looking into Cecil's Bobby Mackeys investigation. Now, I wasn't aware that he actually done a live stream. This is Cecil, done a live stream a number of hours before. So I thought it was, looking into a previous investigation that he done. So I brought up the previous investigation, screen recorded it, looked through it and that, and next thing I was starting to feel dizzy. And I ended up sick. I ended up with a vertigo attack, basically, and I'm still not feeling very well. The reason for that is, I'm looking at the screen, and Cecil just keeps shaking the fucking camera. How are you supposed to capture visual anomalies if you keep shaking the camera? Cecil can't do it. If you see Cecil doing a paranormal investigation and you have sensitive eyes or whatever, don't look at it, because it's not fucking worth it. I've gone through a shit day, so well done, Cecil, you got me, but I'm going to get you back, for fucking sure. Jesus. Now, there was a 38-second video where Xandra, his daughter, was holding the camera. And for those 38 seconds, the camera was okay. She held the camera steady for those 38 seconds and done a pretty good job. I can't say she done a brilliant job because I only got 38 seconds. But Jeannie Magda's previous investigation was fucking horrible. Not only was it horrible, his live stream that he just done yesterday or whatever was the same. It was horrible. It's just constant shake, 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 shake. And he won't shut up. There's no such thing as sitting quietly listening out. You couldn't hear any of that. The guy hasn't a fucking clue. And I'm sorry, I'm not feeling very well. But I just thought I need to get something done today because everything else has gone fucking down the shitter, you know. So that's why you only have my voice today, because when I go to record video, the audio goes out. I don't know what happened. I have no idea. But I have set up this kind of studio space here and got extra screens. Don't know if that's got anything to do with it. I don't know. People would probably criticize him for bringing his daughter to a supposedly very haunted, negatively haunted place. In general, when I worked with a team, 13 was a little bit young. Um, you know, 15, yeah, maybe, and that. But I, the thing is, right? I don't have any problem as such with him bringing his daughter to investigation. But this live stream, he was disrespecting the spirits or whatever, and egging them on to scratch him. And he's with his daughter. What happens if something harmful happens to the daughter and not him? He doesn't think, and you don't provoke spirits like that. He's seen an episode of Ghost Adventures, seen Zach getting scratched, and he wanted to get scratched as well. Zach scratched himself. There probably wasn't anything happening, in the investigation. So Zach scratched himself to hype things up a bit. That's my opinion. I don't think Cecil, you know, goes out of his way and fakes stuff as such, like some other channels. But he, he's prone to pareidolia. He's prone to audio pareidolia. And he's going to go edit this paranormal investigation that was separate from the live stream, and there's going to be, you know, sound anomalies, and other things happening visually in that, and it's most likely going to be pareidolia. It was interesting. I did see that he done this live stream, and he says he's already done the paranormal investigation. But when he was in the bar, he looked down the bar and he saw something sort of weird, and he was kind of freaked out with it. He thought there was somebody standing down at the bottom of the room, and it turned out to be the head of the rodeo cows that you get in some of these Western bars. Well, it was the head of this cow with horns and stuff like that on top of a table or something like that. I find that one weird because has he not already done the paranormal investigation, and would he have not have seen it already? So I find that one a bit strange. I watched previous small clips of Spurs caught in apparition caught in Bobby Mackeys or wherever the flip it was called. He claimed that he got a full bodied apparition or whatever it was. And it was so blurred, and as well as that, like it says earlier on, he moves the camera so much. He can't sit still. He can't, steady the camera. I'm not the best at holding a camera, but I try to keep it as steady as I possibly can. Even though I do, difficult investigations like going through forests and stuff like that. I try to keep it as steady as I can. Cecil had plenty of opportunities to just leave down the camera and talk, you know. But he talks too much. But when he's capturing these so-called anomalies, it's kind of like it's a split second thing because the camera is just constantly moving. So how are you going to pick up visual anomalies if the camera is constantly moving? You can't. There's no way you can do that. You have to have the camera still. And, when you're in Bobby Mackeys and places like that, there's plenty of tables, there's plenty of chairs, there's plenty of surfaces that you can put your camera on. Can't understand why you had to walk around constantly, and every time you took a step, the camera was going up and down and up and down and sideways and everything. That's why I think if you have to go through one of his videos, you have to go through it in. You have to slow down the footage. Otherwise, if you're sensitive like me, it's gonna play hell with your eyes. And I have splitting headaches still. So the investigation isn't gone out. He says he wasn't going to put it out until the place was knocked down. He most likely will put it out as soon as he can because he loves getting views or whatever. But I can't see it any different than the live stream, to be honest with you. I just don't. And it was funny too, this 38-second clip that Xandra had filmed. Cecil had put 4K on it. And I checked on the settings, and I could only go up as far as 780p. He's a really shitty liar. And it's quite evident at the end that, this video about him, I sold my guns. He sold his guns. He said he sold his guns just after the controversy about this straw purchase thing. Showed in that live stream that he was armed, and he showed his gun, and he showed his gun to the staff because somebody showed up. Same thing happened. I think he had some bother the last investigation he done as well, but I think somebody did show up on the live stream. You see, Cecil can't do a live stream without people, nearby finding out where his location is. So there was some sort of an incident. That somebody showed up. And then he was going and explaining to the members of staff about the Chomo things and stuff like that. You know for a fact that Cecil has told them about his channel and told them all about these haters that edited his videos and all this crap about this confession video and that. I'm wondering, what did they really think about him, like? Do you know what I mean? But he hasn't sold his guns, and he hasn't sold his car. And I don't think the car's fixed because there is an engine light. I don't know about this rocker cover gasket. I don't know if he fixed that, but there's something else wrong because there was an engine light on. There was an orange light on in the dash. But he hasn't sold his car. He hasn't sold his guns. He's lied about that too. And how does he think he can get away with that when he then just debunks himself? And then, tries to worm that way out of that with a stupid story that doesn't make any sense. I don't know. I watched previous small clips of Spurs caught in apparition caught in Bobby Mackeys or whatever the flip it was called. He claimed that he got a full-bodied apparition or whatever it was. And it was it was so blurred, and as well as that, like I says earlier on, he moves the camera so much. He can't sit still. He can't, steady the camera. I'm not the best at holding a camera, but I try to keep it as steady as I possibly can. Even though I do, difficult investigations like going through forests and stuff like that. I try to keep it as steady as I can. Cecil had plenty of opportunities to just leave down the camera and talk, you know, but he talks too much. But when he's capturing these so-called anomalies, it's kind of like it's a split second thing because the camera is just constantly moving. So how are you going to pick up visual anomalies if the camera is constantly moving? You can't. There's no way you can do that. You have to have the camera still. And, when you're in Bobby Mackeys and places like that, there's plenty of tables, there's plenty of chairs, there's plenty of surfaces that you can put your camera on. Can't understand why you had to walk around constantly, and every time you took a step, the camera was going up and down and up and down and sideways and everything. That's why I think if you have to go through one of his videos, you have to go through it you have to slow down the footage. Otherwise, if you're sensitive like me, it's gonna play hell with your eyes. And I have splitting headaches still. So the investigation isn't gone out. He says he wasn't going to put it out until the place was knocked down. He most likely will put it out as soon as he can because he loves getting views or whatever. But I can't see it any different than the live stream, to be honest with you. I just don't. And it was funny too, this 38-second clip that Xandra had filmed. Cecil had put 4K on it. And I checked on the settings, and I could only go up as far as 780p. He's a really shitty liar. And it's quite evident at the end that, this video about him, I sold my guns. He sold his guns. He said he sold his guns just after the controversy about this straw purchase thing. Showed in that live stream that he was armed, and he showed his gun, and he showed his gun to the staff because somebody showed up. Same thing happened. I think he had some bother the last investigation he done as well, but I think somebody did show up on the live stream. You see, Cecil can't do a live stream without people, nearby finding out where his location is. So there was some sort of an incident. That somebody showed up. And then he was going and explaining to the members of staff about the Chomo things and stuff like that. You know for a fact that Cecil has told them about his channel and told them all about these haters that edited his videos and all this crap about this confession video and that. I'm wondering, what did they really think about him, like? Do you know what I mean? But he hasn't sold his guns, and he hasn't sold his car. And I don't think the car's fixed because there is an engine light. I don't know about this rocker cover gasket. I don't know if he fixed that, but there's something else wrong because there was an engine light on. There was an orange light on in the dash. But he hasn't sold his car. He hasn't sold his guns. He's lied about that too. And how does he think he can get away with that when he then just debunks himself? and then, tries to worm that way out of that with a stupid story that doesn't make any sense. I don't know. Here's another thing, and it's not just it's not a Cecil thing or anything like that. But people go to locations like that, as an indoor location, and they turn the lights on, and then they use a crappy torch, and you get a bright light in the middle in a circle, and then gradually as you go out, it gets dimmer and dimmer, and the light level isn't that great. Cecil's torch isn't that brilliant, to be honest with you. He would have been better off. And I do have three of these. They're lanterns, rechargeable lanterns. Actually, the three of them that I have, if they run out of electricity, you can wind them up, and it'll give you light throughout the room, but it won't be as bright as turning on the lights, basically. Do you know? So you have a little bit of dimmer light, but you will light up the room, and you won't need to bring a torch around with you. Do you know? And I did notice sometimes too, when his torch is reflecting off a white surface or whatever, there's this shimmering effect, and it happens with these cob lights, the uh, circuit on a chip, uh, circuit on or circuit on a board or whatever. They're bulbs that are on a circuit basically. They tend to play play havoc with cameras sometimes, because I do have some of these spotlights, and it just gives a kind of a strobing wavy effect on the camera, and it's just horrible. Um, you know, but if you don't have a good torch, you're not going to get good visuals. That's the thing. And the last investigation that I just looked at this morning, the light levels were not good. And it just leads to visual pareidolia and stuff like that. You're better off just walking around with one of these lanterns. But as it says, it's not just a Cecil thing. There was lots of other people do the same thing. You know, um, you know, people say, well, it's a big location. You can't have lanterns in every room. You can walk around with the lantern. You know, um, you don't need these flipping. Uh, you don't need to carry a torch around with you everywhere. You know, if you can get a sort of low ambient kind of light from a lantern, you should use it. Just carry it around with you and put it in the middle of each room that you go into. You know. On a previous investigation, he was claiming that there was EVPs, and at one stage EVP in his ear. Now I do appreciate a load of question marks when he brings up these things, because sometimes I might hear something and I would put a question mark. If I was doing annotation on any of my investigations, I try not to do it. I let people make up their own mind. You know. But I do appreciate the question marks at the end of it and that. But the thing is, he if he hears something, he just repeats it over and over again. Why not slow down the footage when you repeat it? When you put it into your editing software, slow it down. Slow it down. Don't slow it down too much that you distort the audio. You just slow it down by about 80% to 75%, and it should be, you know, don't go any lower than that, or it starts warping and it starts distorting the audio and that. But you can slow it down a good bit so people can hear it, like, you know. Then when he's bringing up evidence that he found afterwards, he's playing EVPs and that, and he's playing it, using recorder up against the phone, so the sound is coming out of the recorder and then it's picked up by the microphone. In between the speaker of the recorder and the microphone of the camera, you're you're adding pollution. You're adding sound pollution in there. I told him that before in a comment, and he flipping ripped my head off. You know, I, I was simply saying, why not just bring up the audio clip, put the audio clip into a flipping video. You don't have to go live and do that. And it was the same thing with visual. If he caught something visual after he had edited the video, he would play the video on the tablet and record with his phone. Why not? If you want to display, if you want to show people, uh, you know, the evidence in that, why not just put it into a video, use the original clip? Do you know? Because when it comes to recording from a phone to onto a tablet or a screen and that, you're going to have light reflection and shit like that. Sometimes my screen record doesn't work and I have to use my camcorder against my TV. And I have to pull all the curtains to do that. It's very difficult in that. But I wouldn't do that with crucial evidence, you know. That's why, I have a box and I have my external hard drives and I keep a copy in there, you know. So basically, when people do investigations, the most important thing is the camera and the audio. And Cecil seems to mess up both every time. Not that he has gone out a lot. I think he's only done. I've only seen him ever do Bobby Mackeys, really. Um, with the camera, shaking it all the time. With the audio, by talking all the time. I think in the beginning I had a problem where I spoke too much. And I kind of had to learn to shut up. But I did learn to do that, you know. But then again, Cecil doesn't have a lot of investigations under his belt, and he's highly influenced by, TV shows, Ghost Adventures, and what he sees on YouTube and that. And in the beginning, I was, but over time, you start to pick holes in what you see on the TV and on YouTube videos and that. Cecil hasn't actually learned any of that. He's still entrenched in it. He still thinks that that is paranormal research by watching these programs. And it's not, you know? It's just TV shows entertaining people and giving a false narrative of what the paranormal is. And then Cecil's expectations, he comes into an investigation with an unreal expectation of the paranormal, you know? He sees Zach Bacon shouting and roaring and, at the spirits and telling the spirits to scratch him, and Cecil goes and does the same thing. Zach Bagans is a complete ass when it comes to the paranormal. He's a showman, and he's very often very disrespectful to the spirits of the location, let's say, and because Cecil is he's invested in this kind of content. He thinks that's a reality thing. He thinks that's okay to do. In many other respects, I think sometimes he is very respectful in that, but sometimes he then starts copying what he sees on TV, and it's not a reality thing, people should go into those locations being themselves, and if you're communicating with spirits, communicate with them like you would communicate with another person, and this thing about, can you push balls into pockets and all that kind of thing. You don't want to do too much of that because then you're asking the spirits to perform circus tricks for basically for views, you know, or I think in Cecil's case, in the investigations, I see, he wanted that proof in that, but you can't keep pushing that, you know. You can't keep pushing that, and sometimes if you sit in a room and you're quiet and that, uh, viewers don't like that, but sometimes you might get better results by just sitting there quietly and listening. You know, pretty easy to talk because you're expected to talk for the camera and that. But we're doing a paranormal investigation. We're not supposed to be entertaining our audience. Our main focus is supposed to be the investigation. So we're trying to get, you know, we're trying to get evidence. What happens if you get an EVP that's picked up on the camera and you've spoken over it? I've done it myself numerous times in the past, you know? Are we expecting a banger investigation from Cecil? Well, judging from his great faith in Zach Bagans and Nick Groff and all these um, content creators, I don't think so. And maybe I would be able to stick through it if the camera footage wasn't so shaky, but it's too difficult, you know. Um, Anything he captures on camera is going to have motion blur on it, most likely, because he doesn't leave down the camera or anything like that, and um, visual wise, it's not looking good. Audio wise, not looking good either because Cecil has a habit of just talking because he feels he needs to keep talking and silence is uncomfortable and that. But when it comes to paranormal investigation, silence is one of the really important things that I've learned over time. Do you know? You have to listen out. You have to use your ears. Use your eyes, use your ears. Do you know? And the last investigation, I mean, like, coming into an investigation, paying your, was it £25, which isn't bad, really. It probably goes to the staff member that has to stay behind and stuff, which, it's good. But, lost my train of thought. Where was I going with this? Yes, he goes into the last investigation with a battery that lasts 1 hour. I mean, like, I have a camera here, and at the moment I only have a card with 2 gigs in it, and it says 50 something minutes, and that. I'm not going to bring a camera that with a card that size in it, because when I do an investigation, you know, I'm sometimes up at 10 gigs, and I only have one. I only have one battery for that particular camera I was talking about. Now, with the Sony night vision cameras, I do get the very big batteries, and I normally bring two, just in case, because I don't want to be, I don't want to have battery anxiety on an investigation. Trying to get footage in 1 hour is just, it's not enough time. It really isn't. You expect to go to an investigation and just be there for an hour and expect to get brilliant results out of it? It's, you're lowering your odds. You're gonna need 2 hours at least. You know, we go to Cumber House. We're there from 8 o'clock till 1ish, 2ish. Do you know? That's many hours. When we take a break in between for about a half an hour, a half an hour, 40 minutes for a cup of tea and some sandwiches and then we continue on the investigation. But going to an investigation, paying your money, and then just having enough battery for an hour, it's not making great use of your money. If you paid for 2 or 3 hours, take the 2 or 3 hours, the whole lot of it, like, and just be prepared beforehand to make sure that you can cover that 3 or 4 hours. Even if you do take a break in the middle and have to charge up your devices and stuff like that, sometimes we just top up our devices during tea break. When we were in Cumber House, put stuff on charge. They don't necessarily need it. I know it's going to last the whole investigation and stuff, and I have spare batteries, but just top them on anyway, so I don't have to change the battery. You know, we go into them investigations with piles of batteries. I mean, like boxes of them. You know, and you know, finishing up an investigation because you don't have enough battery, it's not. You know, 1 hour, no. You know, you see, people believe that when they watch a 1 hour episode of Ghost Adventures or a half an hour of Most Haunted or whatever, that is an investigation. That is not an investigation. Even if it was entertainment or whatever, that is filmed over a long period of time and then edited down to 50 minutes or whatever amount of minutes they have to fit it into the TV show or whatever. The TV show limits their time, so they have to edit it down to that. But they spend longer than that. They spend longer than an hour at a location. Why would you go? Why would you pay money and just go for an hour and then expect to get brilliant results? It's not going to happen. You know. You think paranormal just happens because this place is reportedly very, very haunted, so I'm going to go for an hour. Sometimes I might film for an hour, but I'm not expecting very much. You know, um, if it's a walkabout in a place or whatever, and that. But if you're paying money and you're going to a place like Bobby Mackeys, and you have paid money for 2 or 3 hours, take the 2 or 3 hours. Absolutely, take the 2 or 3 hours. You'd be mad to just stay for a flipping hour. It's ridiculous. It's a bit annoying because I like to take a break from Cecil's other controversies and talk about paranormal stuff if he's doing paranormal stuff. But these Bobby Mackeys, I can't go through these. I might try go through them tomorrow at 70% speed because of the motion blur and stuff like that. It's too much, and I'm still very sick from it. I'm still mad with Cecil for the amount of motion blur. It was like being on a roller coaster. It's horrible. He doesn't seem to think that, just because you're moving doesn't mean you can move the camera and other people aren't going to get motion sickness from it. Because that's basically what I got. You know? Yeah, I might. If I can get this equipment fixed tomorrow, I might go through the live stream that he done. And I did screen record the previous investigation, so I might do it, I might not. If I can slow down the footage a little bit, so it doesn't distort in a way that it doesn't distort, and I can put up with it. I can commentate on it, but if I can't, I just can't. You know, um, you know, I know. Master Shredder was looking forward to seeing what we had to say about it. And I thought I would just talk about it, but I can't commentate along with the video because I can't watch the video. You know, and I did watch it, and I ended up having to go to bed for a while because I was dizzy. You know, but yeah, the visuals that I put up on the screen instead of me is a 2 hour investigation, and it's kind of different than a ghost hunting video that you would see on YouTube or you'd see on TV. I try to go into these investigations like I've never seen a paranormal show. So we're looking for visuals, we're looking for audio and that, but our main focus here is trying to get visuals. And we picked an area of ground, Drumbo Woods. I'm going to try and while I'm walking through it, I'm trying to cover as much ground visually as I can. Sort of like hunting. Instead of hunting for animals, we're hunting for paranormal activity, basically. And it's a bit different than you would normally see on YouTube, where a lot of people would go into the woods and just find a comfortable spot to sit in and take out a spurt box and then start putting flashy balls up against trees and EMF detectors and stuff like that. I have to move around. I want to see a section of that area. I want to cover it visually, the whole lot of it. I want to go through it. You know, and you know that particular night, my light for me to see wasn't that brilliant, and I depended a lot on the screen on the, you know, with the screen on the camera. Obviously, in the old Sony night vision, there's kind of a bit of a green tinge to it. I was kind of depending on that because when I looked into the trees, I saw nothing. About I could see up to about 20 feet. After that, I could see absolutely nothing. So in order for me to kind of see it, I was looking at this tiny little screen, and didn't see a huge amount until I actually got home and I was able to put it on the computer and bring it up on the big screen and stuff like that, you know. But, you know, with previous investigations, we just discovered it was an investigation done in 2018 of the Cooning Ghost House. It got over 6,000 views up today. You know, up on from that time until this, and back in 2018, I wasn't very observant. I was observant with some things, and I missed out on a lot of things. And something came up on that video, and I now have to go back and revisit that. I can't revisit the location because it's all bricked up. The house is falling apart. But I have to go back and re-examine the video with fresh eyes. You know, and from 2018 to now, I've learned a lot more, so I can look at it differently, you know. But something was picked up that I'm kind of puzzled with. So I'm possibly going to be doing a video trying to explain it at some point on my main channel and stuff. Again, this investigation I've done Drumbo Woods. It was 2 hours. I actually got lost. I had planned for a sort of an hour and a half walk through kind of thing. And it ended up 2 hours because I actually did get lost. I ended up further down the road than where my car was, and I had to walk then to my car. And I just kept the camera rolling, kept looking into the trees and stuff like that. So it's kind of different. I don't, you know, some people, they're used to the ghost hunting, they're used to the gadgets and stuff like that. I've tons of equipment, but if I'm doing something like this and I'm covering ground, I'm carrying light. I'm not bringing a load of stuff with me, you know. Different for places like Cumber House or Sharon Rectory or Sharon Rectory investigations were pretty interesting as well. So, you know, they're all on the main channel. You know, along with me doing other content, like I've been visiting the Ulster American Folk Park. It's not paranormal, even though there's bits of paranormal in it. Um, but I do have a playlist of paranormal investigations. Earlier ones weren't so good. We usually don't like our earlier investigations because, you come to a point where you've learned more and then you look back and go, oh, that's cringe. But that's progress. Do I see it from Cecil? I don't think so. I think he's very, very caught up with the TV shows. He wants a video that looks like the TV show, and he wants to act like the TV shows and stuff. In some ways, he's kind of genuine in the way he calls out, but then in other ways, he can be disrespectful when he's calling out for spurts of scratching and stuff like that. You don't want to be doing that. You know, people think that some of this getting attacked and stuff doesn't happen. It does. I've had stuff thrown at me. I've had my hair pulled. It wasn't that bad, but and you can be at a location and you could throw up really, really, and you could feel really, really sick, and you can't explain why you're sick. You know, so you don't know what kind of power you're poking at these spurts or whatever. So it's best not to provoke what you do. Be respectful in locations. You know, and Cecil is doing this because he sees Zach Bagans doing it. Zach Bagans is a fucking idiot. You know. I made that point in Sharon Rectory. I mean, like it is the home of people, and they've had activity and stuff. And I was thinking, you need to keep an eye on these investigators because you can get investigators to come in and they start provoking stuff, and then you know it's okay for them. They can go home. You have to fucking put up with it afterwards. You know, so you have to be very careful. And I told them about that. Because a lot of investigating teams, come in and they're so desperate for evidence that they're willing to do or say anything, and that includes provoking. You know, so and because this was a private house, I felt I needed to say that. You know, but Bobby Mackeys is still a premises, and that you can't. You have to respect the premises. And you know, I think when if somebody goes live, the staff are outside in the car and they're watching it live. I think when Cecil went live, I think the girls that were part of the staff, I think they were watching live. I think, but to go into a premises or belong to somebody else and start provoking spirits in a supposedly haunted place, it's all right for them. They can go home and that, but then the staff have to put up with if anything goes wrong. Let's just say. So it's not good to provoke just to get evidence and stuff like that. It's just not. It's not a thing that I'm comfortable in doing. And I think Ghost Adventures in the early days used to do that an awful lot. I think Zach Bagans does it a little bit less, but he still does it, kind of thing. And I don't have any respect for Zach Bagans in the way he does things. It's always about demons, and it's always about negativity, and it's always about the negative. The focus is on oh, there's a demon in the well or whatever. There was, you know what I mean? It's just that is the prime focus because Zach knows that people watch the paranormal, they want to get spooked. They want the negativity. They want the you know the bad spirits, because the bad spirits attract viewers, you know. And that's not the way that's not the way I like to look at the paranormal. I don't like to look at the paranormal as a negative thing, you know. Yes, the odd time we get a negative reaction, you know. I was called a fat cunt in a forest a couple of years ago when myself and Rachel done one of our last investigations together, and you know, and I still didn't provoke. You know, I was flipping gobsmacked that, you know, this was coming out of a 12-587. You know, a fat cunt. And I was thinking, is this directed at me? I know I put on a few pounds and that, but flipping out, you know, it was a bit rude, you know. But I wouldn't provoke back, you know, because I actually was feeling kind of sick, and Rachel was really shaking and stuff, and she was affected before the spirit box even went on and that. So, you know, provoking was a bad idea, would be a bad idea, do you know? I am going to finish up shortly in that. Coming into the summer, I don't think I'm going to be covering Cecil the way I have been covering him, because at night time I want to get out, I want to get investigating myself. I'm not going to, you know, have commentating on Cecil videos restricting my ability to get out when I can. You know, we've got a couple of months of good weather, hopefully. And I'm going to take advantage of that. I want to take advantage of that. I want to do my own thing. I have been doing some of my own thing on my other channel. But sometimes reacting to Cecil takes up a little bit more of my time than I wish it would. You know? That's why I don't put a lot of effort into Cecil videos, because he's not worth that time, especially when there's one argument. There's one argument about the controversy around the confession video. That's the main thing, along with a couple of more incidents and stuff like that. And he's coming up with the same argument all the time. How many times can I commentate on that? You know, I don't feel I need to you know, commentate on, oh, you know, the video was edited. He said it millions of times. I don't need to don't need to keep saying, no, it wasn't edited because I went through the video. I've said it 100 times. You know, I'm not going to go around in circles and play this game with Cecil. There's no fucking way. And before the summer, I am going to put more time into my other channel than I am covering Cecil, because I'm not going to let Cecil take up any more of my time than necessary. Let's just say. But I'm going to leave that one for now. As I says, I'm going to leave a link to my main channel, and I'll leave a link to my playlist of my paranormal investigations and stuff like that. There's a load of them on that. There's Sharon Rectory and the Dunry Fort episodes. There was 6 of them, and there was a number of other things, you know. And unfortunately, some of the earlier ones are on there, and some of them are a bit cringe, but they get better over time, like we learn over time. Anyway, I'm going to go because it is just gone 1:30 in the morning, and Cecil has kept me up with this video, and I'm not happy about it. So I'm going to go to bed, and I'm going to think about other things before I go to bed, other than thinking about this investigation that he just done, which I can't say an awful lot about it. I can't watch it. I can't. There's no way I can watch it. It should come with a warning, flashing images. That's, it is what it is. I'm disappointed that I had screenshotted 2 fucking videos, spent ages at it, and next thing, it was just affecting me too much, and I couldn't do it. I might try and find a way around it by reducing speed by about 20% to be less shaking and that. But Genie Mac, when Cecil walks around with a camera, he doesn't half shake. You'd think after 10 years he would have learned to keep the camera flipping, try to keep the camera steady. I have to try and keep this camera that was on this video in the background with the night vision and that. I had to try and keep it as steady as possible when I was doing movements. I had to do them very, very slowly. Now, I did have enough IR lights. I might have been an overkill. There was 7 or 8 lights on this rig, along with this Sony night vision. And when I pan the camera around, if I pan it too quick, the camera goes out of focus. And that's the thing with night vision. You have to be careful with the night vision when you're panning and that. It does go in and out of focus, and it will go in and out of focus if the light shines right directly at it, kind of thing. But you have to pan it slowly because it just will not keep up. Cecil, if Cecil was using my camera in the way he was using his camera in Bobby Mackeys, it would just be a blurry video. It would be out of focus all the time. But anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Talk to you again real soon. Sorry I couldn't be on camera tonight because it just didn't work for me. It's been one of those days. But talk to you again soon. Bye bye.